Forward to here, given the previous video of course, but that being said, let's just get started. Alright, so opening hand here, I like the diversity in cards, so it's definitely really nice. Unfortunately, we don't have any cards that actually could be brought out via the silver gadget. So what we could do right now is we could just set these two cards, which is okay, that, you know, it's fine, because actually they set up for the late game and we are going first anyway, so it's no big deal. But obviously at this point, both these cards can't actually be summoned, so that is kind of a problem. But you know what, it's okay, you keep it in the hand, you got both these cards, they make a good pair anyway, as mentioned in the deck profile video. But we do have a silver gadget, so we could always still set that, and if they destroy it anyway, then you get to float into a gold gadget, so it's not a big deal. And mind you, even if we have these two here, we also have these as well. So we have the Howling, which we could actually bring out some scales, which would be very nice. And we would also have Rush as well, which would summon one of your Dinomists from your deck as well. And if it manages to survive, then these two would combo off really well. You could also just activate this during the end phase as well, but overall, this is not bad. It's just common that at the very first turn you'll have a setup like this and nothing significant would occur. It's quite rare for the OTK to actually occur in the very first turn, so we might not be seeing that in this particular test hand video. Hopefully we do, but yeah, we'll just move on. Alright, so here's our opening hand, a little bit more different. So firstly, we actually have over here a Dinomist charge, which is quite nice because if we activate this, then we could add any Dinomist monster from our deck to our hand. So let's actually take a look and see what we can go for. We have Plesiosaur, Stegosaur, and we have the gold gadget as well. In this case, we have quite a few choices. I'm thinking maybe we could go for, obviously we go for something different, but what I was thinking is maybe we should go for Ceratops. That would be quite nice actually, because if we actually have this Ceratops like so, then what happens is this. So firstly, we're gonna summon out the gold gadget, and gold gadget would allow us to special summon any level 4 machine. So in this case, I was thinking let's go for the Stegosaur. And yeah, we could actually just leave it like this if we want. And the reason why I want to leave it like this kind of is because on our next turn we could also just go for a pendulum summon, so it would be nice. But even so, let's just go with something anyway. So we're going to overlay, go for a link 4, and this would, or a rank 4. And this would allow us to go for our Gear Gigant X. So Gear Gigant X would detach. It doesn't really matter what you detach, you'll go to the grave anyway, but whatever we detach we get to add whatever we want. So we already have Ceratops, we already have Plesiosaur, so I was thinking let's add Brachion as well. And we essentially will set our Dinomist Rush and end our turn. Looking pretty good. Again, another setup, and that's the thing, I really do think that this deck might actually have a problem early on in the game. I mean, not so much for the actual deck itself, but more so for this test hand video. So let's actually just move on to 2 more times going second, and I'm actually just gonna switch halfway into a combo video. Alright, very nice here. Firstly, let's just go for the terraforming, get our dynamic overload, and we could just activate it right away. That's nice. We have the Dinomist Rush and the Howling, which we could always set. and we could also activate charge. Charge would obviously allow us to add something from the hand, so we already have Brachion right here, but what we could add now is, let's just go for, I mean, what's nice is this, since we're going second, it's most likely the opponent actually has a card on the field and you don't. Well, it makes sense you don't, but your opponent will likely have a card on the field, so a monster on the field, so you could actually just special summon this off right away. And with Dinomist charge, you could also just add the Ceratops and summon out the Ceratops, because at this point you already have one of these, so you could summon that as well. And you have like this pretty nice board here, so forget about this now. You have over here this, which gives each of them 300 attack, and you straight up can just go for attacks. Otherwise, if you can't, you could always overlay into an XC's rank 5 monster. If you guys actually want to add in rank 5s into your deck, then that's totally fine with me. I think it was called Abyss Splash, which was a really great card to actually add into the deck, but for the time being, this is definitely quite nice to just go for a really big attack. And again, very similarly, you do have this to prepare for the next turn. We're playing 3 copies anyway, so it's very consistent, and we always have the Howling and we always have the Rush as well. They both are amazing cards that could just accelerate the deck right away. Alright, very nice here. So we don't really have anything that's going to be OTK potential, but you know what, it's okay. We have here a gold gadget and we have here a Plesioth, so we could just summon out these two. No, actually, you know what, that's actually fine, because even if we have these two just on its own like that, what we could still do is just attack, and either way we have the limiter removal, so we'd still get over some monsters anyway. And we would set up the Dinomist Rush, and again on our following turn we still have Ceratops to go for something else, and we have another gold gadget. So what I might actually do is keep the Plesioth in the hand and use the gold gadget to summon out the other gold gadget and attack and go for limiter removal. Now during the end phase, before the end phase, you could just overlay these two after the battle and go for Gigant X. Gigant X will detach and search for your Brachion, which would be your other, and then on your following turn you get Plesioth, Brachion and Ceratops all on the same field, and you could also follow up with the Dinomist Rush as well. Really amazing. It's just, this deck is better at setting up for mid to late game rather than actually making dynamic plays in the early game. Alright, so now let's move on to a more of a tips and tricks kind of video here. So firstly, I want to talk about these particular 2 cards and why they're so good as a pair. I briefly talked about them in the deck profile, but I want to go into a bit more detail and how they actually interacted. We have Ceratops, we have Brachion, and essentially how they work is, you know, we already talked about their effects, but this one could actually just be summoned, and you don't actually need any monsters. As long as your opponent has a monster, then that just means they have the highest monster on the field, so you would be able to bring this out. And once this is out, you could just bring out the Ceratops. So in turn 2, having these 2 cards in the hand is a rank 5 immediately, and having that there is just incredibly powerful. But you also have to keep in mind, because you have these 2 big beat sticks as well with a limiter removal in addition, you're dealing a huge amount of damage as well. So this is definitely really nice, and you're not even considering the fact that you might have 2 additional cards that might also be extra factors for making your cards really strong during that turn as well. Alright, so for our next turn here, we have this particular set of 3 cards that kind of interact well with each other. We have Power Load, we have the Spinos, and we have the limiter removal. So essentially with Spinos' effect, you could just tribute one other Dinomist monster and activate one of these effects. So either it could attack directly, or you could let it make a second attack during each battle phase this turn. What's amazing is this, if you have 2 different Dinomist monsters out there, you could tribute both and get one of each effect. Yes, you could actually do that. This is not a hard once per turn, this is unlimited times. You could do it as many times as you want. So you would be able to get rid of one here, get rid of one here, so now he can attack directly, and he could also attack twice as well. And at the same time, Power Load also gives it 300, And not only that, your opponent also cannot activate cards or effects until the end of the damage step. So what does this mean? Well, you have a 2800 attack here, and you also have, well, the boost here gives it 20, makes it 28. So when you go for battle, during damage calculation, you would actually activate the limiter removal, and when that happens, then you just double this to 5600 and you attack your opponent. Then you go for the second attack and it's game over because it's a direct attack and they can't respond to it. So really powerful card, and yeah, really powerful combo really. It's just incredibly fun when you pull it off. And finally, I wanted to talk about these 3 cards here. Even if you actually open up this with your opening hand, which you likely will because we're playing 3 copies of each, this is still an incredibly good start. The thing with Dinomists is you don't have to worry about making big plays until mid to late game. The thing is, with the early game, you could survive quite well. You could take a bit of the damage. It's okay, because a lot of these cards will set you up really early on. If you draw into these 3 cards, they're kind of like this mid to late game setup, and it's a 3 card combo in itself for that setup. So obviously this will search for whatever Dinomist you want, and whatever Dinomist gets destroyed, he can recur it back from the extra deck. And also Howling will set up your Pendulum Zones, and Dinomist Rush will just summon out 1 from the deck as well. All of these are just really amazing cards to just start you off. So when you're opening up in your hand and you feel like you can't make any big plays right off the bat, as long as you have like 3 of these, or even 2, or even 1, you're actually in a really good position already. And I need to emphasize this quite a bit because in this particular era of Yu-Gi-Oh, the game is just so much more faster, but I'm here to say that this deck could actually still keep up. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this part test hand video, part combo, part tip video, and yeah, this is definitely one of those fun decks. So if you guys haven't seen it or haven't tried it already, then please do, and don't just give up early on in the game. Definitely stick through it in the mid to late game as well, because this is where the deck actually goes to a really crazy level. But in the meantime, do give this video a like and also share the video as well. Don't forget to also subscribe, because I'll be doing some more deck profiles and test stand videos, and I'm also thinking about doing a few other fun videos as well. But with that being said, I hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you next time.